Welcome back to a long overdue Blu-ray and DVD update. I took a little bit of a siesta after the 100 horror films in 31 days in October. I mean, I think I watched 108 films and did videos every day, so just took a little break. But I didn't take a break from spending money, so I amassed a pretty large, for me anyway, a pretty large update. So I'm going to get started here. As far as news, there's a lot of stuff coming out, and I'm just going to scratch the surface on some things that just stick out to me. But there's so much, and really, Scream Factory and Shout Factory are leading the way. I mean, they're just announcing stuff left and right. Some of the ones that really appeal to me are Return of the Vampire from Scream. This is all Scream Factory, Shout Factory announcements. Return of the Vampire, the Bela Lugosi film, Columbia film from 1945, I think. Hammer, they're doing a bunch of Hammer stuff, which I'm glad to see, but I'm not sure that I'm going to double or triple dip on the Hammer releases unless there's some interesting special features. So we'll just have to see. One of them is Vengeance of She, which is not a particularly good film, but it's probably the weakest of the Hammer films, honestly. Plague of the Zombies is Hammer film, going to be released by Scream Factory. And to me, if we had never had Night of the Living Dead, I think Plague of the Zombies could have very likely been recognized as kind of a landmark zombie film. I think it's a great movie. It's overshadowed by Night of the Living Dead, obviously, but The Mole People, which, you know, an old Universal sci-fi film. Now, it's going to boil down to the special features, I think, on that. Tarantula and Deadly Mantis are getting releases. Dracula, Prince of Darkness, which I've got 3 or 4 copies of. Again, that's going to boil down to, you know, what special features Scream Factory comes up with. Howling 3, the Marsupials. I can't wait to see if Scream Factory, Shout Factory actually gets around to Howling 7. I would fall out of my chair if they do that one. The Body Snatcher is getting a Blu-ray treatment. That's one of my favorite Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff films. Val Lewton. Horror Express is getting a really nice Arrow edition. Can't wait for that. The Devil's Nightmare, 1971, is finally going to come out on Blu-ray from Mondo, and it's going to be limited. I think it's coming out in January. Dead of Night, which is 1945. Many people consider that the best and greatest horror anthology. Kino's going to do a 4K scan and release that. And then Warner Archive is releasing some titles, The Thing from Another World, and Horror of Dracula, and a few others. I'm not a big fan of those Warner Archive titles. Usually it's just the film it's just a bare bones release. But I understand that the Blu-rays are more of a pressed disc and nicer release, so we'll have to see. I'm not a big, I don't really buy too many Warner Archive releases, but good to see those films coming out. All right, well, pretty big update here, so let's get started. First up is Code Red, Cut and Run. This is one that it's supposed to be part of my cannibal collection, but it's not really a cannibal film. It's more of an action film. Rogerio Deodato directed this, and it's a pretty bare bones release. I think in terms of special features, it's got, let me see here. We have a 2K scan, and we've got interviews. Looks like it's just a few interviews. So pretty bare bones release. Cut and run. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put these. It's a huge stack. Let me make some room here. Okay, this is a Black Friday pickup, I think from Wally World. John Wick 2. I loved John Wick, the first film, and I've not seen John Wick 2, but I really, really liked John Wick, the first film. So I'm looking forward to finally getting around to watching John Wick 2. Pretty bare bones. I think I picked it up for $5. Another Black Friday pickup is Dunkirk, which is I've not seen it as well. I've heard a lot of tremendous things about it. A war epic, but I've not seen it. Started to watch it one night and just couldn't focus, so I stopped watching it. Another Black Friday pickup, Kong Skull Island. All these are like, I think I paid $5 a piece for each one. I liked Kong Skull Island. My only complaint is the same complaint I'm making about Stranger Things and all of the others, In a Quiet Place, things like that. The other than Kong, I like Kong a lot, but the monsters here, you know, no eyes. It's just it's the same look. It's just a monster with no eyes. I don't know what the new theme of it is, but you're seeing a lot of these monsters that look all the same. They've got kind of a flower face with no eyes. I mean, we've seen it. Kind of getting tired of it. But I did like Kong Skull Island. I picked up Vinegar Syndrome. Next is Incubus, which I didn't get the slipcover for this, unfortunately. I'm really kind of torqued off about it, but Vinegar Syndrome does such a good job on these releases that even without the slipcover, they're worth purchasing. So let me see here from a special feature standpoint what we got here. I don't think this has an audio commentary track. Let me look and see. Oh, it does. It's got a commentary track with Hysteria Lives, a number of interviews, and it's a new 4K scan. So this is a supernatural slasher, I think, from 1980. Was it 81? 91? Let's see. 1981. All right. Next up is The Case of the Scorpion's Tail from Arrow. I think I picked this up on a Black Friday sale. Finally picked it up. Of course, Arrow always does an outstanding job with all their releases. It's got a booklet. This is a very good, good giallo film. As far as special features here, we've got the usual suspects, 2K scan, audio commentary with writer Ernesto Gastaldi, a bunch of analysis of Sergio Martino films. Yeah, I really do like Sergio Martino. Great director. Next up is the lenticular cover for Zombie, Lucio Fulci's classic. And honestly, this lenticular cover, it was kind of a dilemma on which one I was going to go with, but now that I see this up close and personal, it's I like it. I'm not sure you can see that, but the worms, see the worms moving. And actually, check it out, the eyeball. See his eye closes, it opens. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. And of course, this is it's got a booklet. Pretty extensive looking booklet, and it's got the soundtrack and 2 discs. Nice release. Very nice. Let's see what we got here as far as special features on this. Audio commentary of Troy Howarth. Audio looks like a port over from the other Blu-ray. Ian McCullum audio commentary. Bunch of other interviews and things. This is loaded loaded release. This is a pretty much, I would think, a must own. Lucio Fulci's Zombie. For some reason this is not wanting to go in. Alright, next up, $2 bin, Walmart Mega Shark Collection. Yeah, I know it sucks. It's probably it's just a bunch of sci-fi bullshit, but you know, it's actually on 2 discs. It's not all on 1 disc. I mean, there's Sci-Fi Channel goodness. Shark Attack 2, Shark in Venice, Toxic Shark, Malibu Shark Attack, Shark Attack 3, Megalodon. Oh boy. Alright. Next up is Nick Cage movie Mandy. I picked this up at Wally World. And I watched it. I liked it a lot. Interesting, very interesting film. Quite a departure from what Nick Cage has been doing recently as far as the low budget action films. This is I mean this has got action in it, but it's much more of a kind of a horror revenge type thing. Next up, the Arrow release for Candyman. Now I made a judgment call and compared Scream Factory to Arrow, and I think once again, I think really Arrow almost always wins the battle in terms of overall special features and presentation and things like that. At least when I did the comparison, the Arrow was the better way to go. Love the film, and this is an outstanding release. You get a poster, which let's see what we got here. I don't like that poster that much. You get as usual, the obligatory booklet, which is actually, it looks to me like this is a graphic novel of the story. And then you get, of course, another booklet and a bunch of lobby cards. You got a bunch of lobby cards here. Oh my gosh. And then a booklet covering the film. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff here. And you get 2 cuts of the film, the US and the UK. Quite an outstanding release, as is the usual from Arrow. Let's see what we got here. These are brand new restorations. Looks like there's a Arthur Stephen Jones and Kim Newman are teaming up for an audio commentary. I noticed they've been doing quite a lot. There's a brand new audio commentary with the writer-director Bernard Rose and Tony Todd, and a bunch of interviews. So disc 2 is your UK theatrical cut. It features more alternate, more graphic footage. Interesting. Yeah, can't wait to delve into that at some point. Looks like an outstanding release from Arrow, as usual. Somehow I missed the Django and Texas Adios limited edition. I think that came out November 20th, and I don't know, I just missed it. But they've pulled it now. I've gone to most websites, and I went to Grindhouse and a number of others, and it's either listed as sold out or not available. So that's a kind of a bummer. Let's see what else we got here. Let me do another box. This one is the Arrow release for City of the Living Dead, Lucio Fulci classic film. Gorgeous release. And once again, you get the deluxe treatment. Let me look at this poster. Now, I like it. Well, I don't know. It's kind of, I like that poster. That's pretty awesome. That'd make a good tattoo. Turi, if you're watching, you might want to think about this as a tattoo. And on the other side, so you got alternate. Very nice. And you got the mega booklet, which is about 50 pages of type 4 font print. All right, what else we got here? So this is the bunch of lobby cards, and then it's one disc. So let's see. This is such a great film. I love this film, as does everybody, I would think. It's a 4K scan. Audio commentary with Callum Waddle, and just a slew, I mean just a slew of special features right there. Outstanding stuff. Love City of Living Dead. As do most of you, I would think. This is mandatory purchase. I keep thinking, with all the stuff that's been released over the last 5 years, and with all these limited edition and Blu-ray treatments, that gonna run out of stuff to buy, but it doesn't look like it. I mean, with the latest announcements, I mean, it's just, there's gonna be some serious dent in my pocketbook, certainly just from the Scream Factory announcements alone. Okay, let me do this one. This I picked up from Amazon for 59 bucks. And of course, this is the Universal Classic Monster set. So it's got all the editions of all the films have been released. This is the same booklet that came out from the DVD release a few years ago. Of course, you've got the beauty of this release, though, is you've got Family Opera on blue and Invisible Man, Wolfman, Mummy. All this is a lot of this is simply the same as the DVD box set before. It's just upgrade in the picture quality. Although I do think there's a few things that are different, like Son of Frankenstein. I think has a few seconds of extra footage, things like that. Of course, the big issue with this box set when it was originally released was Revenge of the Creature was supposed to be in 3D, and it was, but apparently it was all screwed up and cattywampus. It had a split screen image, and I read something where even the 2D version of Revenge of the Creature looked like shit. So they pulled the boxes and then put them back on sale. When I guess they assumed I guess we can assume they had the issue fixed. For the price, I figured, well, whether it's fixed or not, I'm going to jump in at 60 bucks. And thankfully, the first thing I did was I watched Revenge of the Creature in 3D, and it looked good. It looked great. It's not good 3D. I mean, actually, quite honestly, I'd prefer to just watch it in 2D. I think the original Creature from Black Lagoon's 3D looked really, really good. But the Revenge of the Creature 3D was fixed. I can attest to that, and you know, it worked. It gave you a lot of image depth, but it wasn't great 3D. I guess my bottom line is I wouldn't hesitate to buy it over just the 3D issue. I mean, I think it's fixed at this point anyway, so it's probably makes sense to go ahead and purchase it if it's still available. I mean, for 60 bucks, I mean, you can't beat it. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Tell you what, I'm at 20 minutes, guys. I'm going to, I don't want this to be an hour-long video, and it looks like it might. I think I'm going to break this up into parts and come back and do a part 2 So I appreciate you watching, and let me know what you think of the purchases. I will be back for part two, likely in the next 5-6 hours.